The person I was with knew they had HIV, gave it to me, didn't disclose their status. Anytime I would bring up, I don't feel good, I feel like I should go to the doctor, he would persuade me to not go. He would literally be like, oh, it's probably nothing. Just, I'll make you a tea, I'll make you some dinner and get you cozy. And he catered to me. However, he knew that he gave me a disease.
This incredibly brave young man has gone viral on TikTok for opening up about something deeply personal. His recent diagnosis with not just HIV, but full-blown AIDS. And trust me, you're gonna wanna hear this entire story. According to him, not only did his partner knowingly infect him, but also actively discouraged him from seeking medical care once he began showing symptoms. It's a heartbreaking, disturbing, and powerful video, and one that raises some serious conversations about HIV/AIDS stigma, trust, and human psychology. So we're gonna watch it together in parts, and I'll be jumping in along the way to share some thoughts as we go.
I officially have an AIDS diagnosis. When I got my blood results back, my CD4 count was at 120. If your cell count is below 200, you are considered to have AIDS, which is an advanced stage of HIV. However, I have gotten recent blood results back since I've been on medication, and my CD4 count has went above 200 to 226. So I will always have an AIDS diagnosis on my record. However, I will not be in the AIDS stage. So it's just going to take time for my CD4 count to get to a healthy place, and I should be fine.
All right, so I, to be honest with you, am not that familiar with how HIV and AIDS work. I know the basics, obviously, but I wanted to know more about the CD4 count he was talking about, so I did a quick Google search. And basically I learned that CD4 count is a number doctors use to measure how strong your immune system is. CD4 cells are like the frontline soldiers that protect your body from infections. A healthy person usually has somewhere between 500 and 1500 of these cells per microliter of blood. When that number drops below 200, it means your immune system is so weak you're officially diagnosed with AIDS, not just HIV. AIDS. It's a clinical line in the sand, and once you cross it, that diagnosis stays on your medical record for life, even if your health improves. And in his case, he got on treatment, thank God, and his CD4 count is already climbing. It's back to above 200 now, which is amazing. But still, the fact that he got pushed so far into immune failure and that he's now stuck with that label forever, that's devastating. This is someone who was just living his life, and because of someone else's choices, he now carries a diagnosis that carries so much stigma, fear, and misunderstanding. The courage it takes to speak on that publicly, I don't think people realize how much strength that requires. And I really applaud him for being so vulnerable and sharing his story with the world, because I'm sure it's helping other people out there and resonating, and that's why it's going viral.
It's still terrifying when you look at the history of AIDS and HIV and all the people that have died before you and all the history that comes with it. I think that's something that really humbled me in the beginning. Looking at other people's stories and experiences, even looking at old YouTube broadcasts from the 90s and 80s, like news broadcasts, like watching those just makes you realize how lucky we are to be in this day with the medicine, because it was a completely different time and it was very scary and very sad when you think about everyone that has died, all their stories, individual things, people that didn't deserve to get it, people that were betrayed, lied, and tricked, given the disease, that died and didn't need to die. It's very, very sad.
Okay, so this part of the video really made me stop and think. Because he's absolutely right. Getting diagnosed with HIV or AIDS come with more baggage than just the diagnosis. It comes with decades of history and trauma and grief. For so many people, especially gay people, HIV and AIDS are tied to the loss of entire communities. They're tied to funerals, to fear, to watching friends waste away while the government looked the other way. People were dying in silence and in shame while the world pretended it wasn't happening. So even though he's getting healthy now, even though we do have life-saving treatments today, the emotional weight of knowing what this diagnosis used to mean, that's real. That fear is real. Watching old news footage, seeing the panic in the headlines from the 80s and 90s, that stuff stays with you. And I think it's so important that he acknowledged that because it shows that this isn't just about his physical health. It's also a kind of inherited trauma. And yet here he is, not only surviving, but speaking out. That's a kind of strength I don't even have any words for.
So the symptoms I experienced were very mild, so I didn't know for the longest time I was sick. Towards the end, when I finally got tested, I was 130 pounds. I'm 6'2". My hair was falling out. I could see my rib cage when I looked into the mirror, and I was getting a lot of urinary tract infections that just kept coming back. I also was having a lot of oral thrush. My tongue was white, even though I would scrub my tongue and do everything to my tongue. I thought I was just sick. I thought that I just got sick from, like a casual common cold, and, I still went to work all the time and just ignored it and tried to power through it because our society looks down on people that are sick, Work culture is like, keep going, you're not sick. They look at being sick as an excuse. So I felt bad when I really didn't feel good I almost felt like I guilty for taking care of myself. It's really weird.
So he's describing all these signs, his body literally wasting away, hair falling out, nonstop infections, and still he didn't realize how sick he was. And honestly, I get it. When you're in survival mode, when you're just trying to live your life and keep moving, it's terrifyingly easy to miss signs that something is wrong with us. Society teaches us to power through everything, to ignore pain, to show up for work no matter what, to treat rest like laziness. And especially for men, and even more so for Black and brown queer men, there's this pressure to just endure, to act like you're fine even when your body is screaming for help. But as I was watching this, I also found myself wondering, was he seeing a doctor regularly? Was he engaging in preventative care, seeing a PCP, getting annual checkups, even basic lab work? Did he have health insurance? Was he afraid of the cost, or just afraid of what he might find out? Because that's real too. A lot of people avoid the doctor until they absolutely can't anymore. I also wonder if any of the doctors he saw ever asked about his sexuality. Being gay puts you at a higher statistical risk for HIV, and yet many doctors still don't ask. Or they ask in ways that might feel cold or awkward, which makes people shut down. On the flip side, some people probably don't feel safe enough to disclose, especially if they've been judged in the past. We'll never know if asking those questions or having access to care earlier would have changed the outcome, but the fact we even have to wonder says a lot. I know it can feel uncomfortable when a doctor starts asking personal questions about your sex life or orientation, but this right here, this is why they ask. It's not about them trying to be nosy. No, it's about protecting you.
The person I was with knew they had HIV, gave it to me, didn't disclose their status. Anytime I would bring up, I don't feel good, I feel like I should go to the doctor, he would persuade me to not go. He would literally be like, oh, it's probably nothing. Just, I'll make you a tea, I'll make you some dinner and get you cozy. And he catered to me. However, he knew that he gave me a disease.
Okay, this part honestly made my stomach turn. To not only withhold your HIV status from someone, but then to actively discourage them from seeking medical care while they're literally wasting away, that's not just irresponsible, that's evil. That is wicked. Like, there's no other word for it. Knowing what you've done, and instead of helping them get care, you make them tea, you tuck them in, you soothe them into silence, while their immune system is literally collapsing, that's calculated and highly disturbing. And then I can't help but wonder, what if he had caught the flu during that time? We just came out of one of the worst flu seasons in years. The flu kills thousands of people every year, especially people with compromised immune systems. And with the CD4 count that low, with AIDS, something like the flu or even a cold could have pushed his body past the point of no return. He could have literally died, and that's not even an exaggeration. Now look, I want to be clear. None of this is to excuse what this person did at all. There is no justification for knowingly infecting someone and then keeping them from seeking care. But I do wonder, what kind of shame, what kind of stigma, What kind of fear leads someone to hide something so serious? And again, that's not to let them off the hook. It's just me being real. When people do harm, especially harm this deep, I think it's worth asking, why? What was going on inside them that they couldn't face their truth?
So as you can imagine, that's extremely hard to wrap your head around why someone would do that. But I don't think I'll ever get closure, or I'll ever understand how someone could do such a thing or why someone could do such a thing, because that's just not in my nature. And I'm never going to understand the reasoning behind that. All I know is that I'm going to be okay. It's very difficult, but yeah.
You can just hear it in his voice, that feeling of how do you even begin to process this? The weight of what someone did to him, the betrayal, the confusion. And he's right, there may never be closure. He may never understand why or how someone could do something like that. But what really struck me is that even in the middle of all that, he's choosing to focus on the fact that he will be okay. And that's powerful. That is healing. Because when we're hurt, especially in such deep personal ways, we get stuck on that question, why? Why would someone do this? Why me? And we think that if we could just get that answer, it would make the pain go away. But the truth is, that answer, even if you get it, doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't take away the hurt. And a lot of people get caught spending their entire lives in that loop, trying to make sense of something senseless. The fact that he already recognizes that he may never get that closure and is choosing to move forward anyway, that's going to save him from so much unnecessary self-inflicted pain. That's the kind of mindset that builds long-term resilience. And honestly, sometimes the person who harmed us doesn't even know why they did it, or they don't have the language or self-awareness to articulate it. That doesn't make it okay, not even close. But it reminds us that why isn't always an answerable question, and our healing shouldn't be held hostage by someone else's inability to explain themselves. Also, I just want to take a moment to say, HIV and AIDS are not the death sentences they once were. Someone in the comments on his TikTok said their doctor told them, honestly, I'd rather have HIV than arthritis or diabetes. And I really had to sit with that comment, because it's true. With access to treatment, people with HIV can live long, full, healthy lives. The real weight in 2025 isn't the virus, it's the stigma. And that's what makes what this man did even more disturbing. If he was on treatment, he could have been undetectable. He could have made it so he couldn't transmit the virus. So it raises a whole other question. Was he not treating his own HIV? And if not, why? Did shame keep him from getting care? Was it neglect? Or was it something darker? Either way, it's a really cruel thing to do. A really emotional story overall, and I applaud this young man's bravery to speak out about it publicly. Now, before I end this video, I want to let you know that he actually posted a follow-up video where he shares how he's doing now, both emotionally and physically, and also opens up about the financial challenges he's facing as a result of everything that's happened. If his story moved you and you're wondering how you can help or just want to hear directly from him where things stand today, stay tuned. I'm gonna play that follow-up video in full, uninterrupted, right after this. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Why do you think someone would hide their HIV status from their partner? And what can we do as a society to break down the stigma that still surrounds HIV and AIDS in 2025? Drop a comment down below. I'm curious to know your thoughts. And if this video resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. I've got more TikTok reaction videos planned. This was a new style of video for me, but I really enjoyed the process of making this video, so I think I'm gonna make more of these. Okay, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching.
Hello, I would like to start off by saying thank you for all of the love and support that I have received. It's very overwhelming, actually, and I feel like there's so many questions that need answers that it's gonna take me a while to get through all those questions and answer all those things. I will start off by saying that I am getting better and better every day. However, I will get ahead of myself because I feel like my brain is moving faster than my body's condition. I've been on FLMA for the past few months, so I've missed a lot of work. I've been on short-term disability, but it's not enough to cover my life. Bills, as you know, rent is so high right now, food is so high right now, so I've just really been struggling. I've used a lot mostly all of my savings during this time, and I'm glad I did have savings. But I'm at a point now where I'm just letting fate take the wheel, you know. I'm like, I'm alive, so that's all I can do. But I am struggling financially, mentally at times. So, you know, if you want to help me out, if you want to donate to me, I would greatly appreciate it. I made a GoFundMe in my profile description. So, you know, anything helps, you know, dollar, whatever. I would greatly appreciate it. Because I'm ready to go back to work, but I'm also understanding that I'm probably should not go back to work, honestly, because of how my health condition, how it actually is. But I'm gonna have to do what I'm gonna have to do. But I am optimistic that I will be okay in the future and that everything will be okay, you know. My last partner, the one that purposely gave me this disease, also just ruined my life in many other aspects financially. He took out loans in my name. He just destroyed the house. He had a substance abuse issue. So it was a lot. It's like everywhere I looked, there was something I was trying to fix or clean up or mend. But it just got to a point where, you know, there's nothing you can really do about it. But, you know, that's a whole conversation in itself. But I am healing now. I'm becoming self-sufficient again. And I just need a little help. So thank you.